Hey guys, how are you today? It's been forever, hasn't it? And if you are new, hi, I'm Enna. I am a writer and I review writing advice articles and try to find the best ones and also call out the bad ones. And I found this very interesting article called 10 Pieces of Bad Writing Advice and How to Fix Them. That's kind of what we do on this channel here, and it's been forever because I've been so busy with work and everything. It's been a lot. I need to do a chatty Thoughts and Thoughts video soon, hopefully this month, maybe next month. I don't really know. It's just been busy. Anyway, how are you guys? How are you doing? What are you up to? What have you been up to? Anything new things that you've been doing? Let me know in the comments. So, 10 pieces of bad writing advice and how to fix them. We've all been there. Some well-meaning mentor, professor, or internet guru drops a golden nugget of writing wisdom and you cling to it like a life raft. But here's the thing, a lot of so-called good advice is actually garbage, either outdated, misunderstood, or just plain counterproductive. So let's dismantle some of the worst offenders, shall we? Okay, so apparently we are going to go through a lot of writing advice that is called quote-unquote good advice, which is actually garbage. I don't know if a piece of writing advice can be fully garbage. I think it can be partially garbage. That's just my opinion. It's interesting that they say well-meaning mentor, professor, or internet guru drops a golden nugget of writing wisdom. I see actual writers, actual published writers, dropping some of these slightly, maybe, I wouldn't say they're unhinged. What is the word that I'm looking for? Problematic? No. Unhelpful, that's the word. Slightly unhelpful pieces of writing advice from actual published authors. It's understandable because they're giving this advice from their perspective, and it's understandable in their perspective that they're giving this advice from their experiences and everything, and that it doesn't match with you because you are not them. Anyway, I don't know what kind of writing advice we're going to be getting into except what I see for this first one here. So we shall see. There's some table of contents over here. I don't know if we're going to be getting into like show don't tell or like write what you know. It looks like maybe we are getting into that one. We shall see. We shall see what happens. Okay. I haven't done one of these article reading things in a while, so apologies if I start drinking water a lot. Write every day. On the surface, this sounds solid. Discipline, routine, consistency. But here's what they don't tell you. Forcing yourself to write daily, regardless of energy or inspiration, can fast-track you to burnout and writer's block. It turns writing into a chore, and before you know it, you're dreading the thing you supposedly love. A better approach. Build a sustainable, why is that in italics? Sustainable habit. Writing 3 to 4 days a week or even setting flexible word count goals allows for consistency without destroying your motivation. Reedsy Studio is great for this. This isn't a Reedsy article, but it's by this article, this website called Litter Reactor, written by, I forgot to mention that this is written by Adrian Quesada, published on February 27th, 2025, / February. So it's not Reedsy Studio. I don't know why Reedsy Studio is here. Forming a habit is important, but if you sit down to write and it's not happening, you don't have to force yourself. As the adage goes, quality over quantity. And they have some kind of thing. Reedsy can help you track keep track of your writing habits. I didn't know they had something like this. Where is that? I have never seen it. So this write every day. So, this write every day is sort of like, I feel some type of way about it in that sometimes it's good. Sometimes it is. It is good for some people, and sometimes it's bad for some people. It depends on what matches your lifestyle, what is feasible for you, and like everyone has their own how they commit to things. So if forcing yourself to write daily is actually how you commit to things, and that's how you get things done, and you're not like overly stressing yourself, then that's good, right? But if where are the words? But if writing daily is like a major stress for you, then the write everyday advice becomes bad for you. But if consistent daily commitment is how you get things done, then that's fine. This advice wouldn't be bad for you. So I would say you can try. Everything is about trying. Maybe not everything, but some of these advices. What's the plural form? Some of these writing advices might be ones that you can try out and see if it works for you. And then if it doesn't, that means that it was bad for you. But if it does, then that's good, right? So write every day is kind of one of those where I'm a little bit like, I can't fully agree with it being complete garbage. Complete garbage. Oh my gosh. Because it works for some people, it doesn't work for other people. Like, I have done writing every day before for like NaNoWriMo or my own challenge that I hosted on Instagram last year called Word Dragon Challenge. I'm going to host it this year too. So if you want to join, follow me on Instagram. And I wrote almost every day. I think there were some weeks where I did write every day, and it got things done. And that is kind of how I tackle, like if I want to write a 50K word novel in a month, then that's how I tackle it. That's how it works for me. It works for me, but it doesn't work for other people. So it's not the complete devil, in other words. That's my opinion, anyway. Break the rules. Rules are meant to be broken if you know why they exist in the first place. The blah 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 blah. The problem is that new writers sometimes take this as permission to ignore grammar, structure, and a coherent and well-developed story. Some iconic writers like James Joyce, Cormac McCarthy, and Toni Morrison bent the rules to serve their stories. They didn't just ignore them because they didn't feel like using punctuation that day. McCarthy, to be specific, uses almost no traditional punctuation in his sentences, resulting in either long and flowing segments that require concentration to parse, or short, dry, and somewhat stoic utterances that help give a unique feel to his settings and characters. This Cormac McCarthy guy, wasn't he like problematic in some way? I can't remember. I didn't keep up with all the author drama that was going on last year, but I feel like I heard something about that. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. In a similar vein, James Joyce often chooses to forego punctuation entirely, but he does so with the purpose of mimicking the non-linear, chaotic, and nebulous nature of his stream of consciousness writing of internal dialogue. Better approach. Learn the rules first and understand why they're important. Then, if you're going to break them, do it with intention and consistency. Okay, I feel like this one is contradicting itself because it's not just this writing advice is not just break the rules. In fact, I've never seen anyone say as writing advice to break the rules. I've seen people say as writing advice to don't break the rules, but break them in ways after you understand them, they elaborate on it. They say exactly what is said in this part here, like break them with intention. I never seen anyone give the writing advice of break the rules. I've never seen that. I don't know where this is coming from. Maybe this person thought that if someone says you should break the rules, but only with intention and after understanding what the rules are for. So maybe there's writing advice out there that's telling people to break the rules. No, I have never seen this one. This is a new one for me. It's not been, and I've been around writing spaces for quite a long time. So that's saying something. I don't know what this one is. Have you ever seen anyone give you the advice to break the rules? I've never seen that one. Rather, they want you to follow the rules. Anyway. It's a weird one. It's a weird one for sure. It's also sort of contradicting itself because then it says, then if you're going to break them, do it with intention and consistency. I thought you're going to take like the opposite approach. Like this one, write every day, it was about someone saying you should write daily, and then your sort of better approach was 3-4 days a week. So it's not daily. Someone says do it daily, and you say not daily. Someone says break the rules, and then you say, well, break them, but do it with intention. But it's not completely like saying don't break the rules. I don't know, this is a weird one. I'm just saying it's weird. It's a little bit weird. Adding a little more stuff in here because this is going to be a very short section and it's going to be hard to timestamp because it's going to be teeny tiny. There is a big pause. Maybe I'll have a drink of water. Ho hum, okay. Work on a chapter until it's perfect. Who is giving this writing advice? I've never seen it before. Oh yeah, they are saying the same thing. This isn't really common advice, but rather a common trap that many authors fall into because we are all at heart perfectionists when it comes to our writing. But this is exactly how you fall into the perfectionist death spiral. Trying to polish every sentence before moving on to the next one is the best way to ensure you never finish a draft, or indeed ever reach sentence 10. Your first draft, okay, so this is specifically about a first draft. This isn't talking about revisions, because that's kind of what you do for revisions, right? You work on a chapter until it feels perfect, right? Feels perfect. I'm not saying is perfect. Make a note of that. Your first draft is supposed to be a mess. That's why editing exists in the first place, especially if this is your first project as an author. You'll find the first draft of your first chapter will likely require much more editing work than the rest of the book. But you can't get to the rest unless you have a foundation from which to write further. A better approach. Get the words down. Let them be ugly and learn to embrace the ugliness. Your first draft should be the place where you focus on working through your main ideas instead of perfecting them right away. And when in doubt, remember Jane Smiley's good writing advice. Every first draft is perfect because all the first draft has to do is exist. It's perfect in its existence. The only way it could be imperfect would be to not exist. That's a good piece of, I don't know if I call it writing advice, but that's a good thing to say about a first draft. So, work on the chapter until it's perfect. No, it's not a common writing advice. In fact, I've never seen it before. So if this isn't advice to begin with, it doesn't belong in this article. Like, why is it doing here? We're talking about bad writing advice. I am being nitpicky. Yes, I am. Because I am looking at bad writing advice, right? And I get this one and you say this isn't really common advice. It's a common trap. Maybe you should make an article about common traps that authors fall into. That would be an interesting article. You can just put this one in there, delete this, all this bit, and then put it in there. Put it in the other one, okay? That's what I think. So, and this is also specifically about first drafts. So I would say that I would even write an article about like just first draft. How about common first draft traps that authors fall into? There, I made you a new article. You could use that one instead and put this over there into that one. Because it doesn't make sense that this is here. If this isn't about writing advice, this is the thing about these list articles, is they started out as one thing and then they end up being a whole other thing. Like all those tips and writing advice, all those articles, it like begins as tips and then ends as an opinion piece. I don't know, what are we doing here? Honestly. Be consistent. Maybe read over your article yourself, because I'm just reading this through for the first time and I'm catching things. Did anyone read your article? Like, what's going on here? I have no idea. No idea. No idea. Revise, but don't rewrite. We've talked about getting addicted to editing and polishing, but here's the other side of the coin. There are authors who get stuck working on a single chapter, and there are authors that churn out page after page without ever looking back. Writing is rewriting. Your first draft is you telling yourself the story. Okay, here we go again. This first draft, I thought this was about like general writing advice, but it's about the first draft. Okay. All right. Your first draft is you telling yourself the story. Who said that? I can't remember who said that. Did Terry Pratchett say that, or did the Lord of the Rings guy? I forget the famous fantasy author name. So often, I don't know why. Who wrote Lord of the Rings? Why? But the other guy, I keep thinking about George R.R. Martin, but that is the other one with the dragons, with the Song of Ice and Fire series guy. Why am I completely blanking on this? Completely blanking. I am completely blanking. Why? This is ridiculous. Wait, I'm going to see it and I'm going to be like, oh, why didn't I remember that? I'm looking up on my phone, Lord of the Rings. Oh, J.R.R. Tolkien. I mean, they have such similar names. George R.R. Martin, J.R.R. Tolkien. I mean, like, what are so many, like, famous fantasy writers have R in them? Good ones and bad ones. They have R in their name. Maybe we should all put on R in our names so that we would be famous fantasy authors. Tangent. Just a simple little tangent. So this revise but don't rewrite. A better approach. Accept that revision is part of the... Where was I reading? Did I already read this part? I forgot. A better approach. Accept that revision is part of the process. Consistent rewrites can improve and clarify writing as your skills improve, especially in long-term writing processes like novels. By the time you write the last chapter, your skills as an author will be on another level compared to when you started the first page. That is true. Your familiarity with your own story and what you want it to be will be more fleshed out. Yes. Don't be afraid to give your book a second pass and rewrite liberally. Yeah, I'd say the don't rewrite, I don't know about revise, but don't rewrite, but the don't rewrite at all kind of advice is sort of like forcing, like pushing authors into a corner of the first draft being absolutely perfect and 100% what you wanted it to be. It's like that author perfectionist trap that they talked about before, and it's not even supposed to be part of writing advice, but anyway. So yeah, it's like the trap to like think that your first draft has to be like perfect. I do. I have in the past gotten stuck on the first chapter during the editing stage. So this isn't even about, is this about the first draft or is this about every draft? I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Like what part of the writing process are we even talking about anymore? Because I thought it was just writing in general and now it's about specific little things in I don't even know. Anyway. Yeah, I used to be, there's been times when I was just stuck on that first page, but this is after I finished writing the whole thing and I go back to revise it and then I end up feeling like maybe I need to rewrite this because then I changed something about the character and now this whole first chapter doesn't really make sense for it to be this way. I don't know what I want to do. What is the story even about? There's another, not that story, but a different story there where it's just, I don't even know. There's like 50 different ways for me to start this story and I don't even know what I want to, don't know what to do about it. No idea. Still have like very little idea. I have a little bit of an idea, but then that leads into a whole other version of the first chapter, the first 5 chapters. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Thinking about it. That's all I can do is think about it. Revision is part of the process. Consistent rewrites can improve and clarify writing as your skills improve, especially in long-term writing processes like novels. Are we talking about the first draft or are we talking about editing? I am not sure what we are talking about. But this is true, like I said when I reacted to it firsthand. Your skills as an author will be on another level, a different level, or maybe a better level compared to when you started the first page of that novel. That's why when I'm revising, I go back to the first page and I'm like, what the heck is this? This is not consistent with my character, and then I can't come up with a good first page, a good first chapter. So then I get all like, I don't even know what to do anymore. What is the story even about? I don't know what to do. What do I do? So that's what happens. It's the struggle. It's the writer's struggle. Oh my gosh. Only writers will understand how much struggle and brain power and just feeling like you're not going anywhere in terms of your thinking and your writing and your skill level and everything like that, just feeling kind of stuck. Only writers will truly understand what that feeling is. I mean, you can explain that feeling to people who's never written before, but they're like, oh yeah, really? That sounds like a lot. But people who have written, people who have the experience, they can be like, oh yeah, I understand what you're saying. I completely get it. I hope you guys are some of those people. I hope some of you are some of those types of people. That's what I want to say. Write only what you know. I have seen this advice a little bit, but I've seen this advice listed as bad writing advice. I haven't seen anyone actually giving this advice to anybody. Have you ever received this advice? There's a reason this advice is common nowadays. It is. It is? Nowadays? 2025, February? What? Really? When deeply personal accounts of traumatic circumstances or intensely emotional relationships are popular subject matters. If you write about what you haven't experienced in the flesh, you run the risk of portraying some themes inaccurately or insensitively. And yet, if authors actually followed this advice, we wouldn't have genres like sci-fi, fantasy, or historical fiction. Tolkien never visited Middle-earth, and I'm pretty sure Mary Shelley never reanimated a corpse. This doesn't extend only to speculative fiction. Literary and historical fiction can benefit greatly from writing outside of personal experience. Annie Proulx, for instance, was not a repressed cowboy when she wrote Brokeback Mountain, nor was Agatha Christie a professional murderer as far as we know. Okay. A better approach if you have a book idea that deeply... I need to drink water. Oh my gosh. A better approach. If you have a book idea that speaks deeply to you but isn't in your realm of knowledge, we have one word for you: research. Access to information is easier now than ever in history. Take great advantage of first-hand accounts of experiences you've never had. Watch documentaries or read nonfiction books about freak circumstances or events you want to incorporate into your story but never experienced yourself. Above all, remain mindful and empathetic if you're incorporating a theme that's potentially delicate or controversial to handle. Be extra thoughtful in your research in these instances and consider getting help from a sensitivity reader. Consulting with people directly affected by such topics is always recommended. A great example of this is Mark Haddon, who wrote The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime and did a lot of research on autism in the process of doing so. Okay. But there are people, I want to say that there are people that even if you've done your wholehearted research, there are people that still say, this isn't historically accurate. And I'm like, I never said it was. So anyway, this whole bit of all this stuff, like write only what you know, people who get this, maybe there are some people who get this advice, but I stay clear of this because I write fantasy. So I'm clear. I'm in the clear. Of course, I have never met a talking cat or a talking squirrel wearing armor. I don't know what it's like to be a rat. I don't know anything about how to use elemental magic. I have never seen a wizard in real life. I don't even know what flying it will actually feel like if someone were actually up in the air flying. But I write about it out of my sheer imagination. Of course, I do some research. Actually, I do a lot of research. I do a lot of research about words and things and types of stairs and types of roads and like the history of like some place in Iceland or something like that, and to get inspiration, or I look up different cases of murder mysteries to get some advice, some inspiration, not advice. I'm not getting advice from murder mysteries, to get some inspiration, some real life inspiration of people actually in those situations and how police procedures stuff works and all that stuff. Of course, I do a lot of research, but there is a lot of fantasy element in my stories that, you know, no one can tell me write only what you know. I mean, you're telling me not to write fantasy? No, that doesn't work. I don't know where this tangent is going. Anyway, let's stop. Okay, so yeah, I haven't gotten this advice. I haven't seen people getting this advice. I've seen people saying that this is bad advice, but I haven't actually seen it actually being used, like someone actually saying it. I think because a lot of people like fantasy, and if you like fantasy, you can't tell someone won't write only what you know. So I don't know, what do you mean by a better approach? You know, it seems like sometimes the better approach is advice, and sometimes the better approach is like if someone has said, I need to only write what I know, and then you tell them, no, you don't have to do that. If you have a book idea that speaks deeply to you but isn't in your realm of knowledge, you can do research. I thought we were fixing the bad writing advice. I thought if you were fixing the bad writing advice, the new writing advice would be research. I don't know, I'm probably being nitpicky, right? Yeah, I think so. Take advantage of current trend. Insert current trend here. Forcing your novel into the bestseller list through the abuse of a hot trend might sound like a shortcut to success, but trends are fickle, and by the time you finished your dark academia cozy vampire romantasy in first person, the market will have moved on. Take the Twilight Saga. The vampire craze that rode its coattails was intense, but short, lasting only a few years. The traditional publishing cycle is also typically 1 or 2 years long. By the time you get your fad-ready book out there, the bandwagon you sought to jump into may indeed have departed long ago. A better approach. Be authentic. Now, this better approach thing is actually, it's not fixing the writing advice, but telling someone who is trying to ride the trend coattails to be authentic. A better approach would be like, authenticity is the key to success, or something like that. I don't know. Trends are well and good, and they're popular for a reason. If you want to add an element that's in vogue to make your book pop out from the bookstore shelves more easily, there's nothing wrong with that. However, unique and well-crafted stories stand out more and longer than trend-chasing cash grabs competing in a saturated market. Who knows? You could be the one to start the trend. This thing with the trend is a difficult thing, because say you decide to write some dark romantasy, dark academia romantasy with an enemies to lovers trope, and it's a grumpy sunshine combination, right? There's a lot of those, right? I'm pretty sure. And there's nothing wrong with writing it, because if you write it, you are writing it so it's original and unique because you wrote it. So you don't have to give it up because you think you need to be authentic and unique. You're already being authentic and unique by writing it. So you can try to take advantage of the current trend if you want to. But the thing is, it is a saturated market. If you're following a trend, usually trends are saturated. So what are you supposed to even do? I don't know. There was a time where I thought that I should follow a trend. That I should write in the trend. But then I thought, what is trending right now? At that time, it was fantasy romance. It wasn't called romantasy yet, but it was fantasy, but with romance. Vampires. Some vampires. Dark academia was really trending at some point. And that was around that time where I thought maybe I should, if I want to get published and be out there, attract a literary agent or something, maybe I should do that. But then I thought, I'm not interested. Oh my gosh. I'm not interested. And if I'm not interested, it's not going to be fun. And I want my writing to be a fun place. I want it to be stressful but fun and enjoyable. I enjoy this form of torture, essentially. So that's the thing. I don't really know. I don't really have any advice for trends, actually, because I feel like if you write it in your own style and it's unique to you, and you're an original person, you are a unique person, so your perspective is unique, that it would add to the market even though it's saturated. And your unique perspective could do something new. I don't know. I don't really have an advice for trends, because I decided to not follow trends. Decided to write what I wanted to write, what stories that I want to share with people. So I don't have anything for you guys, actually, for this. And I'll admit that. I don't have anything. I don't know what to do with this trend thing. Because trends are fickle, as this person also said. So I don't really know, you know? Anything can become a trend too. So what are you supposed to do? I know. I guess you just write the stories that you want to share with people. That's the best thing that you can do. That's the only thing that you can do. And also know that you are unique and original. So the stories you write, even for a saturated market, is unique and original. Ask feedback from everyone. Seeking feedback is great, but too much feedback is paralyzing. If you're showing every chapter to 10 different beta readers, you may very well get 10 conflicting opinions on a single chapter. By then, it's easy to not know which one to trust and lose sight of your vision. This applies not only to the amount, but also to the frequency of the feedback you receive. Sending every chapter to your friend to ask their opinion will get you in a nitpicky mindset, in turn making your process slow to a crawl and miss the forest for the trees. Remember our previous warning about not working on a chapter until it's perfect? I have thoughts about that. A better approach: get feedback at the right time, preferably after blah 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 blah. Preferably after you've got a solid draft of the whole story, and choose your readers wisely. If not an author themselves, at least an avid reader with a strong frame of reference and literary knowledge. Be judicious when choosing better readers, and seek help only from people that you trust to have opinions, tastes, and references relevant to your book and your process specifically. I've never seen the advice to ask feedback from everyone. I've seen the advice to ask for feedback. Period. You know, the thing about feedback is that I think if 3 people are saying the same thing, then you fix it. But if everyone has a different opinion, you don't fix it. Like if you have, let's say there's 4 people. How about 4 people? And you get advice from all 4 of them, and 3 of them have a different opinion than the other one person, about the same place. So then you look at that and you see, maybe you compare which to take, the majority or the minority. And that's up to you, because you're the writer. It's your story after all. You get to do what you want with it. I don't know if that also applies to traditional publishing, because I'm thinking about self-publishing. So the level of whatever you put out there is your choice. This is a rough session. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, ask for feedback from everyone is a piece of writing advice that I've never seen before. Also, this thing, better approach: get feedback at the right time, preferably after you've got a solid draft of the whole story, and choose your readers wisely. You know, how though? Because how do you know you've got a solid draft? How do you know which readers? Choose your readers wisely, but how do you find them? If you want to talk about these sort of specifics, then maybe actually be helpful with these specifics, or at least have an article linking to something helpful about these specifics. Because when I was first looking for beta readers, I just thought I'd send out some application and get people who seem interested in the story to sign up and read it. But that backfired on me because there were just a few people there who just wanted to do a trade, and it wasn't actually their genre. They weren't readers of YA fantasy. So it didn't really help me in the end. Because the people who were actual readers of YA fantasy gave completely different opinions to the people who weren't readers of YA fantasy. But still, those people who weren't readers of YA fantasy signed up as being interested in the story. So I don't know what to do with that, I'm kind of lucky that I have been able to build sort of group of people around me, like a little writing community situation on Instagram, and Wacky Writers. And Wacky Writers is an online free writing forum. If you want to join, link will be in the description. And just there's the people there that would be willing to do that, and those people, I trust their opinions, So I'm lucky that I have those people that I could ask, and if they have time, of course. But I don't know what people who don't have that would do. Like, how would you find your readers? Like, how would you find that? I don't really know. And so maybe this is where you can come in, and you people, person, whoever you were, to give that kind of advice. Maybe another article here would be nice. It would be nice. Okay. There's also a way to take feedback, because you don't just take feedback and then fix everything from that feedback. You have to choose feedback, because sometimes there's some ridiculous things, and listening to them will actually make your story worse, or it'll make it not your story. So you need to kind of pick and choose feedback. And maybe picking and choosing feedback, how to do that, could be another link in this section here to another article. That would be nice to have. I actually have an article on my website about how to receive feedback and how you need to be like a sponge when you receive feedback, and how to respond to critique, and even if you're feeling defensive, and also you can let yourself feel defensive. It's okay to feel defensive, and how to do all that. And I'll also link that down in the description so you guys can go and check it out. I think it's a pretty good article. There might be some more things that I can do with it, but I think it's a pretty good one, if I do say so myself. Number 8, avoid reading within your genre. This advice isn't common, luckily, because it's terrible, but I've seen it in online writing communities. What online writing communities? I've never seen. I see people specifically say to read within your genre. I see that a lot. Maybe you should actually give bad writing advice that actually is common. You're just trying to give a longer list, that's all. Some people claim that reading other books in your genre will make your writing derivative. To this, I'd say you think great musicians don't listen to music? Genres and subgenres have conventions, a common framework or language that dictates what works and what doesn't. Gaining an intimate understanding of what's been already done within your space and why it was successful will allow you to tread a new path while implementing tried and true elements from other stories. A better approach. Read widely, both inside and outside your genre. Know what's out there. Learn from it. Most importantly, figure out what works and what doesn't, and more importantly, why. If you don't read at all, you'll think your story about a boy wizard going to magic boarding school is brilliantly original. There's some shade somewhere there. Well, if this isn't common advice, And I've never seen it. And you only see it in an online writing communities. I don't know what writing communities you were talking about because I've never seen it in any of the ones that I was in. So I don't even know what you're talking about. This is a stupid... I wouldn't say it's stupid. It's a ridiculously stupid one to add in this list. What is this even doing here? Like, what are we even doing? What is this article even about? This isn't about some weird writing advices that I've seen in online writing communities that people rarely visit. This is about common bad writing advice, right? What about like show, don't tell? Like, what about those kind of things? Like, are we even going to talk about show, don't tell? I even want to know if we're going to talk about it. I mean, come on. Like, what are we doing here? What is this article even for? It started out okay. And then you just started adding things to the list. Did they tell you to write a 10 item list or something? Don't force it. Come on. If you can't write a 10 item list, you can't write a 10 item list. If you have to write a good article, but it's not 10 items, that's better. You just write a good article. Like, what are you even doing? Like, I don't even get it. Like, what is this? If it's not common, then why are we even bothering talking about it? Whoever said this writing advice they're being ridiculous, they don't know what they're talking about, or they're trolling. Because I don't even how this would even make sense. This is like telling a professional basketball player to not play basketball in a different court or something like that. It's just ridiculous. So if it's this ridiculous, then it's probably they don't even believe it in themselves. Why are we even talking about it? I don't even know. This article has so much potential to be good. Well, what are you going to do? Number 9, don't outline. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I'm saying here we go because I'm a pantser. What are you going to say about us? Discovery writing, aka making it up as you go or pantsing, works for some people, but going in blind can also lead to plot holes, meandering stories, and abandoned manuscripts. I get it. For a lot of people, outlines feel restrictive and could make your writing end up reading rigid, but in the grand scheme of things, they're more useful than restricting, especially in genres where you need to keep meticulous track of every character and their actions, such as mystery and thrillers. While some people like to plan ahead and some others work better on the fly, it's useful to at least have the core components, characters, and events of your story in writing. It doesn't have to be extensive. It can even be a post-it with a few keywords. What's important is that you know what you're aiming for when writing. A better approach. Outlines aren't the enemy. Even a loose roadmap can keep your story on track. You don't need to stick to your outline like it's the 10 Commandments. Think of it instead as a general set of guidelines that you yourself impose and choose when to stray away from. This is just giving advice to people who have trouble pantsing. I thought this first part was supposed to talk about what people mean when they say don't outline. But you divulged into just giving advice to people who struggle with outlines. What are we even doing here? Like, I don't get it anymore. And I've never seen this don't outline. What is it? From one of your minority, minor, teeny tiny 2-person writing community groups online somewhere in some remote location off the coast of the internet? Like, what is this even? What is this doing? What are we doing? You can be a plotter. Plotting your story from beginning to end. You could be a planter who does some plotting and some pantsing. So there's like a bare bones outline. I've talked to some people who are planters, and some of them say that they have like a bare bones outline, and then they sort of, while they're pantsing, they sort of meet those milestones, those markers, sort of like this happens at Act 1, this happens in Act 2. They meet those milestones, and the rest they just kind of fill in as pantsing. Some people have more of a strict kind of outline, but only for like the beginning of the story, or only in part of the story, and then the rest they do pantsing. Or the pantsing part comes when they feel like that this part of the story needs to be changed. So it's like kind of like going off on a tangent from the outline, and then they pants that part. So it's partial pantsing. And then there are people like me who just sit down and just start writing and just continue it and continue on. And yes, there are plot holes and tangents and just weird things. But that's how I write. I can't write with an outline. I've tried with an outline. Like I've tried meticulously planning everything. And then I felt like, I finished the story. I don't need to write this. And then it was hard for me to get motivation to write it. It was also hard for me to write it in general. I felt very restricted, even though I said to myself that I could go off script, but then if I do go off script, then the outline will be destroyed, right? And what do I do after that? So I tried with an outline. I couldn't write for 2 years. It was like a 4-book series. I couldn't write it for 2 years. And then I thought, oh, heck with it. I'm just gonna work on one of them for this month, and I'm going to give myself 30 days to do it. I wrote it in 2 weeks. I wrote the first book in 2 weeks, the second book in 2 weeks, the third book in 2 weeks, and the fourth book in 2 weeks. So I wrote 4 novels, 50K word novels in 2 months. And I just wrote like a maniac for 2 months. So outlining isn't for me. I can actually write a 50K word novel in 2 weeks. So, but I wouldn't tell somebody to not outline, because if that's the process that works for them, then that's what works for them. Outlines aren't an enemy. They're not an enemy. But then giving the advice to someone to actually make an outline is not the right approach. I feel like you should say, try outlining. See if it works for you. Not do it like you should do it, You can try it out. See if it works. Try it at a little bit of pantsing with a little bit of outlining together. See if that works, and just see what works. All you can do is see what works, because there's certain things like your lifestyle, what commitment is like to you, how you can make yourself commit to something. Those are all different. So yeah, just try. Are we almost done? Yep, there's 10 items. I thought so. Yeah, they made this person write 10, and they I have no idea after. Anyway, we'll get into that later. Memorize all the theory. What is this? Memorize all the theory. All the theories? Is this supposed to be plural? Was that a mistake? Or is it really memorize all the theory? All the theories, right? I mean, that would make grammatical sense. Yes, knowing story structure and character archetypes is useful. No, treating them like a rigid checklist isn't. Trying to tick every box will leave your writing feel mechanical and soulless. Plus, savvy readers are also familiar with common character archetypes, and their corresponding development arcs, as well as concepts like the hero's journey. If you rely on these too much, your story will become predictable and formulaic. Trust me, readers don't want to play a game of bingo as they're reading your book, methodically crossing out appearance of the old wise and Dementor figure, or it's time for the third act breakup, each time they cross across them. Each time they cross across them? Each time they come across them? What? Each time they cross across them? Come across them, right? A better approach. Learn theory, but let your story breathe. Write with instinct, not obligation, just as with the grammatical rules. Familiarize yourself with storytelling concepts as you learn how and when to break them and make them work for you. Once more, reading within your genre is valuable because it helps you understand how other people have subverted or subscribed to these conventions before and which is the better approach for your own story. I was holding in a cough. Water from my water bottle. So you're supposed to memorize it, and then they tell you to learn it. So in the end, you're not saying anything different, are you? Like, I don't know. What is this last one even supposed to mean? Am I just not getting it because I'm tired? I don't know. So you're talking about the writing is going to feel mechanical and soulless, and then you're talking about common character archetypes. And then you tell people to learn the theory, but let the story breathe. Maybe this should be, instead of memorized all the theory. I've never seen this before in my entire life. Stick to character archetypes, maybe. I don't know. I've never seen it. This is like the obscure number 10. As a lot of these writing advice articles often have something very obscure at the end. Because they had to make 10. Because 10 is a nice number. So that's what they're doing. I feel like this could have been something else. Something that actually sounds like writing advice, because I've never seen this writing advice. Are you supposed to talk? This is a good place to talk about show, don't tell. That is the most common piece of maybe slightly bad writing advice. If you tell someone show, don't tell, the reason it's bad is because what does it mean? People don't explain what it means to do that. And you say you describe things more, but what does it mean to describe it? Because it also contradicts with the advice to write shorter sentences. But if you describe something, you're not writing short sentences, are you? A lot of the times, description is a little bit long, right? I mean, you can make it short, but it'll sound weird, so you'll probably want to make it a little bit long, right? So then you end up with long sentences. So what? So telling people to show, don't tell needs something more after that bit. Show, don't tell in a way that, or show, don't tell, but it's okay to use long descriptive sentences. I don't know. But see, show, don't tell is a little bit problematic. So I don't know if you would call it complete garbage writing advice, because it's not, but you could call it incomplete writing advice or something. It could be part of this list. I mean, if it was part of this list, I would be like, bad writing advice? Yeah, maybe some people will think that. So I won't completely disagree with you put in this list. But it would have been a perfect one to put in, though. I mean, better than whatever this thing is. Memorize all the theory. Like, what is that? I've never seen anyone tell anyone to memorize what character archetypes there are. Maybe follow story structure. Maybe if you talk more about story structure, story structure. Because I have seen the advice of to follow story structure. I don't know if it's bad, but maybe it's misunderstood. And isn't some of the things supposed to be misunderstood too? Like, we're supposed to be talking misunderstood ones too. Anyway. This is the conclusion bit here. Writing advice isn't one size fits all, just as someone's story is messy and inconsistent because of a lack of an outline, for example. There's another author out there struggling with a stiff and robotic story because they stick to their outline too much. What are we talking about? The key is knowing when to apply each piece of advice and when to ignore it. Find what works for you, but stay open to growth. Be critical, trust your instincts, experiment. Most importantly, keep writing. Just maybe not every day, as we discussed. That is your opinion. That is, you can write every day if you wanted to. So you're saying having a messy, the story is, if a story doesn't have an outline, it's messy and inconsistent. But if they have the outline, it's stiff and robotic. So what is having an outline good or bad or what? Like, it sounds like you're contradicting yourself here. Like, I don't know what kind of conclusion this is. I didn't even know what we were suddenly talking about. Outlines, all of a sudden we're starting. Like, if you want to write a conclusion, you should start from the beginning. Like, number 1 was about write every day and this and that, or you can give some conclusion remark. It's like, writing advice isn't one size fits all. Everyone has their different journeys and different ways of writing. And although some of these are big bad and some of these are problematic, you need to still take that with a grain of salt and think about what works for you with your lifestyle and how you find writing to be enjoyable to you. And however, one thing I would say is that you don't write because you want to make money or you want to be famous. The only piece of writing advice that is completely not bad would be to write because you enjoy it. Please write, and I hope you enjoy writing. Good luck to all you writers. Something like that would have been very nice to end on. But we don't. We have this, whatever this is. This person obviously doesn't want us to be writing every day. That's your opinion. I can write every day if I wanted to. And I have in the past. For 2 months. Well, anyway, that's the end. As part of this conclusion outro section here, I wanted to say that this started out okay. Like, write every day. Yes, I have seen that. Sometimes this can be seen as bad writing advice. So yeah, it's good. This one was a good one, talking about it and saying some alternatives of what would be better, sort of better. I wouldn't say that writing every day is completely bad, but if you're going to give this advice to, this article should be a little bit more specific. If you're going to give this advice to someone just starting out writing, tell them to build a sustainable habit, not write every day. But if they wanted to try writing every day, they could. That's the thing with advice. It's really about, the individual person. I mean, incredibly bad advice would be like, plagiarize. You know, that's bad advice, right? I mean, we can all agree that plagiarizing is bad. But something like write every day, where it's down to the individual person, you know, it can be bad for some people and can be good for some people. So, you know, it's kind of hard. Break the rules. I feel like this could have been a little bit better, this section. I don't know. I feel like they were contradicting themselves. It's like, break the rules, but don't ignore them. Like, this started turning into, I mean, at first it was like, write every day. And then they explained why this write every day could be, why it's bad. If you did this, if you wrote every day, what would happen to you? What would be bad about it, right? And this break the rules thing was like, well, no, actually, these people broke the rules and it was good. But aren't we supposed to be talking about how breaking the rules is bad? Like, what happens when it's bad? Like, I feel like that was supposed to be the part of the structure of this article, but after we got to ask for feedback from everyone, avoid reading within you, after it's like number 7, it started feeling a little weird. Yeah. And also this one, if it's not common and it's not common advice, and if it's a trap, like, why are we even putting it in here? Like, I don't even know. So anyway, this was kind of a weird little article, wasn't it? I feel like it could have been a good one, you know, 10 pieces of bad writing advice and how to fix them. You know, that would be very nice, of how we can fix these and how we can give people better advice. But apparently that's not what we were doing. I don't know what we were doing. I don't know what the point of all this was. Feel like it could have been better, but, you know, you can always edit articles. You can edit them. Yeah, that's the thing. Anyway, so hope you enjoyed that. Enjoyed my outbursts. And I guess, this is what I end the day on, huh? Well, Adrian Quesada. I don't know. Quesada. It's probably Quesada, yeah. February 27th, 2025. 10 pieces of bad writing advice and how to fix them. We have tried. I would give this a solid 2.5. Maybe. Maybe a solid 2. Yeah. Yeah, disappointing. Disappointed, because I thought there was going to be some kind of fun, nice little article, but it wasn't a fun, nice little article. Anyway, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and please leave comments down below and stuff, because when you comment, the algorithm says, oh hey, you liked it and commented on it. Let me recommend it to your friends. That's how it works on YouTube. Did you know that? So you can share this to your friends too. Tell them not to read this article. I read it, so you don't have to. Yeah. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Please subscribe. I'm gonna try to make up more videos during August. Maybe I can make more videos during August. It's not that busy during August at work, so I might be able to sneak in a few more videos in August. We'll see. We shall see. Hope you have a lovely rest of the day, and please keep hydrated. I have been drinking so much water through this entire video. drink from your water bottle. Keep hydrated. And you will hear me in the next video. Feel like this was a long one. Hope you enjoyed it. The fox is out.